Hello. We have a new moon in Aries happening on the 11th of April, and right now is a good time to see what is what because things cannot keep very still. Aries is going to enrich us and force us bring to that which should really ring that bell. And if you don't feel that ringing, then there is something of the past that is uh, keeping things from a real beginning. If you are not yet real, it really shows. If you don't want to be here, then yes, of course, that grows. If you don't really like who you are or how you're behaving, what your life is creating or how it is spending, there is something that needs to be done. And by far, it's a serious thing. If you feel that you're missing something, it should really all be already here. Everything that Aries was working forward to get so far should be real and with no fear. They should really be a marker or some kind of feeling that should bring about a sense of a brand new beginning. There must be a realness to that which you are. And if you're not there, then things can go very far if you don't want to do what you're doing. If you don't really like what you're brewing, if you don't really feel the same as that person who you have chosen or are choosing, why do you like a life that's made of bruising? So the main thing is just go towards that fresh start right now and to understand your power and how to use it, how to obtain that next phase of already made design, how to create things into something even more beautiful and more fine, what to do with yourself and your time, you know, how to keep things together and how to feel even more gorgeous and glorious, how to be even more fine and divine. What can you do for yourself to uplift yourself further, to market your brand, to see your new future, to give your new freshness that start of your life, how to really contain yourself with that person, how to be a good husband or wife, how to really get there. Now you see what is there. You know, when we are at this point of our timeline, there now needs to be absolutely no more fear and no more care for that which is old, which is gone in the past. You really need to put that plaything down at last. You have to really understand what is no longer there and which things or people just drink up your youth and your energy. And what makes you feel fear? What is taking your time, which is no longer worthy? What is giving you something bad and not deserving? How do you feel about what you are doing? And also, what do you really expect from the things you are brewing? How are you going with the way that you spend your money and your time? Do you really like the way that you live? Is it fine? Do you enjoy the projects and the products that your life has evolved or has brought about? Or do you feel shame? Do you feel dense? Do you feel doubt? Now it has to be real and it has to be true. Aries is the most blatant chance to be good to you. If you can't be good to you now, then expect more frowns. If you don't really like the way that you live and you don't want to be part of this dance, please understand which way you're going and also the way that your life seems to be turning and the way that you are with another person too. Is it fine to be good to you? And how are you good to another? Are you turning into an abrupt or difficult lover? Do you have a difficult time or a difficult situation? Are there feelings involved that might turn your life into but a reaction? Do you feel a fraction? Okay. Do you feel not whole? Are you feeling fear for not being in control? Do you have an anger situation, or are you building yourself a negative or an abusive reputation? Are you in an equation which doesn't make you feel good after all? So that is the way that you might want to see it now. How do you feel about themes of control? Golden Ox, the Chinese year, after all, is going to show us what it's like to never need that at all. We don't actually need to be controlling or confrontational, really. We just need to understand what we are feeling. And that has to be okay, even though for some it is very hard to define. The point is not to go into that conversation of what's yours and what's mine. Taurus is going to make it all sit together. We're all going to be known for our thoughts and our feelings. Each one of us will be bird of a feather with another, and design will be whole. There is no need to try and get in there because everything is out of our control in a way is going to eventually densify and make itself real. But for now, the question is simple. How do you feel? It's a primary color situation. It's a very basic childish conversation. It's not really about taking things further if you don't know what it all means at all. It's just about knowing that, yeah, some of us do need to lose all control. If you don't really feel anything here, then there is a need to feel at least a little bit of fear, because Aries is trying to purge that color from your soul. And sometimes if you don't feel a thing, if you feel nothing at all, there is a need for destruction or a very bad conversation. But I trust that some of us have noticed that there are better ways to live a life without futile energy or negative reaction. You don't have to feel fear or shame or pain anyway. The main thing is that some of that which we are now knowing is not perfect will go away. And this is where we hurt sometimes after all, is because some of the aspects in our lives we've gained out of the need for a certain self-control or control of another. So some of the things that are falling apart now are just trying to help us not bother with that which is dense and will, after all, not suffice us, because we don't want to control. We just want to be fine. We just want to be fine anyway. We just want to play and watch life sway. We don't really need to get up and fight anymore, or I hope so, indeed. We just have to have a little bit of self-esteem and a better, more colorful creed. And that's the thing about the worthless and the worthy, is just more about the color that you pick to paint your life with, for the way that you really truly want to be, and the feeling that you need. That is your life, which should really by now feel like it could be fantasy. Anything that was previously made uncomfortable or not allowed could be now bold, colorful, and proud. Anything that was before taboo or not at all part of the picture can be now a very pure, hearty, golden feature. Some things that are actually really worthy but haven't yet had that time to shine might come together if they are part of your soul journey. And yes, being bird of a feather is something that we all really need to consider and configure to here. because some of us don't really want to be here. And that means that the reflection that we get with another um, is out of fear. So if you are not really happy or welcome with who you are choosing or you have already chosen, it is very easy to be colorless and frozen and not to really feel a lot with another. And if you're in a system of friends or group of people that has made you feel bad or made you feel a martyr, there is an important part to play here. And try to move quickly past anything with your friendships, love, or career that just doesn't feel good anymore or never has really. Because everything in this Aries new moon is just about how are you feeling. And if you're not really feeling a thing after all, maybe it is an important part of your journey right now to face how you harbor your sense of self and how you control. And also, why did you choose something that was really important that is now no longer feeling good or that potent? And what do you really want to relay to yourself or another when you live through your journey? And how are you as a partner or a lover? Do you feel good with your children or your colleagues or your friends? Or does it feel like the story never ends? There has to be a really strong core to a person, you see, because we're now creating a new sense of life and a new stability. If you are not sensing that you are real or you can take things further, maybe something about you just doesn't really want to bother, and that is quite okay. It is just very important that your formula that you're living through now is a portal for another also to mimic you too. So we're all influencing each other here. And how do you do? Do you like the way that you are living your life, that you're loving, you know? Or are you always bothered with something? Can you feel that another person, your child or your friend, can somehow copy or mimic you in the end? Can you sense what you are putting into another? Okay, can you feel what you are vibing, and how are you taking further that which you know and that which you are perfecting here? And do you feel proud and good about your career or how you are placed in this life after all? Or are you still sucking in all you've got? And do you still need a sense of control? And that's the basic thing here, is how are we going, without any need for transformational fear, without any anxiety, without any type of relationship counseling or other stuff. Some things that we've done in the last few years are enough. Some people don't need to criticize the path that they're going through at all. And some people don't have to now see a counselor or be in control. Not everyone needs a healer or a poet or a shrink. There is something very beautiful about all that you are in Aries month and all that you think, and it's just about enveloping it all and giving it a nice, wholesome hug. You don't really need a therapist or the drug. You don't really need to hold yourself together. You don't really have to scramble for answers. There is something much further, there is something more lasting and more beautiful and true. If you can just be more open to the person that is you or that is in front of you, really. So it's a very basic time to just be more kind and feeling and to just give back to who you are and who you're with, you know. It's not really rocket science after all, but things can barely breathe for certain people that don't really want to see who they are here, which is actually very, very common. And sometimes what we have built or what we have become, we fear it and we don't want to know any more of that which we are. And that is how come people create distractions during this type of month. And yes, by far believe things after all that are not good for us. So sometimes we can make a very silly game, and that's because we don't want to face our own fears and our own shame, which is also okay, really. But because of this month being so beautiful and lush, I find that the best way to do it is through feeling, even if it is kind of like an abstract sensation, even if it is maybe even a rude conversation, maybe if it's just a journey of the heart or just an abstract reality bridge. Even if you're building it with a friend you don't trust, it will not burn a cinch. The thing is to just be there for your own sensitivity, really, and to allow oneself to be just blatantly feeling, just feeling anything at all, even if it is lust, you know, even if it is something that you must one day need to change or fix or understand or no longer idealize, even if it is gambling, even if it is drink, because at the end of the day, it's just about that sparkle in your eyes. And yes, I know some people are going the wrong way here. And it does seem that some of these beautiful feelings are kind of bound to us in fear. And not all of it will need to be trusted later for all of us. But I think it's just about that feeling as an overall sensation that we must just simply believe is real. And it is hard for people that don't know how to feel. And COVID is actually an interesting part of this game because it's an interesting mechanism that has come to maim senses like smell and like taste and some others, you know. And I feel that through that, we're still becoming more beautiful and maybe in some state, in some way, formless because we're still adoring and yearning and feeling and building and loving. And I think that is truly something to see within us, after all, as a people, because we are waiting for even greater mystery. You know, we're not letting this bug make us simple. We are still growing through it, after all. And we are looking at one each other with a little more love and more soul. So I'm feeling that in actual fact, we're really healing, even though somebody, maybe even in your family, might be unreeling. And that is really cold to understand. You know, it's hard to feel that and to be that holding hand. It's very difficult for us to understand what's going on in our global situation. But it feels to me that even though we're debilitated and we're feeling or sensing less, there is a higher relation. And then later on, I think we will see how, in a sense, COVID was maybe not really meant to be, but yet it was something that made us feel more attached to our feeling and our knowing. You know, whether it's raining, shining, or snowing, we want to know what life is and how it feels in our skin and our hair. What is it within our physical forms, and how did it get there? How do we do with potentially a new mutation? Okay. And what is it within this holy conversation with God, after all, in the end, for our species? And what are we doing for it also? What is our thesis on what we are here doing? How are we looking at God and creation? What are we brewing? What are we giving back in our situation? Are we in joy or separation? Do you like what you hear from your soul as it's speaking to all? Are you open enough to accept God, Creator, all? Do you like that feeling of being alone sometimes, really? Are you looking for segregation? That is something so deep and so feeling for many, as we come from an age that's really a comedy. It's a bit hairy, with all of this technology and all this useless division of time and of money, how many of us don't really see the humor in life anymore. Yet we search for that funny in some little soul online, something unimportant, uh, because we have come to feel, perhaps globally, that we are no longer potent as creators, designers, or carers or livers. And that is something I feel is a question mark, sinners perhaps, and that's how come we are here. And I think that we have to see the global comedy without fear and know that we're all in it together, and we don't have to lie. you know there are some very deep situations that I see in the sky. I'm feeling that people are becoming a little bit clustered and unergonomic. Their time is not spent on the rightful things, and it's just not very funny. It's not very open, it's not very becoming. Because I think that we maybe value numbers and money, and we don't really understand what we need after all, because nothing in our lives is in control. And I want you to see the global situation and also the financial world and its hairy conversation with that which is happening in the ether. I think it's important to find our own feet and become a big portal. It's important to be seen and needed for what you are doing. It's important to be in the right category, an identity, and a career, and not feel like you're brewing something you don't want to drink in the end. The main thing here is that some things are going to start to end, some things are crumbling, really. And some things will not be healing. Some things will not go back to how they were before. So I'm talking about the economic situation of the world and what it's fighting for, what it is actually sustaining, and how it is actually putting itself together. What is the juice? And what is our own understanding of the value of our time and our energy here? And are we ready to really wake up, and be clear? Do you want to be that person that you are? Do you like what you're doing? Can you associate to the global picture at last? Or is there too much truing? Like, do you not want to see anything anymore? Are you blocked up somehow? Are you looking for an outside person? Or do you just want to find that door? Are you willing to change? Are you willing to feel? Are you willing to keep things correct and know how you feel? What is real? Can you divide your time into more sophisticated portions? Can you understand how you're spending your life and what is it that's important? You know, do you want to feel something more than you are? And are you prepared to potentially go far to reach for that truth within you? You know, are you prepared to be good to you? Are you prepared to travel for that big integration? Are you prepared to be open for that conversation? Are you ready, you know, to feel something here? You know, are you aware that you can live without fear? Do you want to do it better? You know, are you open to greater? Are you willing to change what you've done in the past and to actually sense what is all coming to at last? So it's a little bit global here and personal too. But I feel that between the personal and the global picture, you will find a medium that is very you. And I think that we all have to consider the vast situation because some of it is truly beyond my own imagination. And I wonder how we are going to get it all together because you see, at this point, with this Aquarian illumination and the stellium and Aries, is really all about being a bird of a feather and knowing how to do things with another person in the picture and how to keep things simple for yourself. And yes, and be also a good teacher. You know, we have to be good to each other. And now we have to go further than we've done before and be good to our brother. We need to share, you know, our houses and our care. And for some of us, you know, nobody's going to be there unless we learn to really be good to each other. You know, take care of your loved ones, take care of your father and mother, be there for you, and see what is real. And perhaps the world will bounce off you and what you feel and get you even a greater result at last. Because I do feel that some of our previous patterns as a species are truly in the past, and now we have to learn some new ways and see the planet for who she is and how she sways and talk to her more in our hearts and be faithful to our journeys and our parts that we're playing and make sure that we're not cutting down, that we're not swaying and we're not chasing or we're not sniffing out what is best. We just have to know who we are and allow the rest to be the rest. So thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.